the topic for today is the real role of a project controls manager beyond scheduling and progress reporting. So this is what the activities of a planning professional are in general. But what is the real role of a project controls manager beyond this? And I would like to help and provide some clarity on removing the confusion or uncertainty what about the role actually holds. Okay, even if you are not holding the project control manager position and you would like to grow into a project control manager, what are the skills you need to understand, what role you should expect, and what value you will deliver, you should know. So managing a team of planning engineers, review the work of the team, collating the progress report. So you collate the progress report and send it to the management, escalate issues highlighted by the team, then coordinates with other managers. Since he is the head of the team or the head of the leading the team, he will coordinate with other managers, the other team members who are in the managerial position, and coordinate and give the support to the planning engineers wherever is required. What else other activities are there beyond that where he actually drives value to that strategic level? So let me get into that. What are the strategic activities? So project control manager operates at a more strategic level where the company strategy, business objectives are met. Bringing the connection between the tactical activities which we are doing on a daily basis inside a project, how it bring it to the strategic level. And I have grouped them into 4 or 5 areas on which he works. One is the outcome orientation. So project control manager is quite focused on the outcome of the project, not only measuring the activities, progresses, making the reports, but also outcome. He has equal accountability on the outcome of the project. Then cross-functional integration. Somebody mentioned about interface management. So interface management, there are different things. Within the project, we have interface management, right? The project activities are there, and you have to interface with the different vendors and parties and client, different departments. So that is one interface management. But what about cross-functional integration? Because project controls department, the project is executed by many people who work in different departments. So how does he does the cross-functional integration, as a function, not within the project activities, but as a cross-functional integration. Governance. So governance is one important topic where the role of project controls manager becomes important. Performance insights and decision support. So it's not about reporting, it's not about collating, it's about performance insights. What insights you are providing to the management or decision makers so that they can do the right decision at the right time. Okay. So decision making is very important in any project or even at the strategic level. So if you are able to provide those insights, then your level raises to the to the project controls manager as a real contributor to the organization. Then there is a capability development. It's not only about a personal individual contribution. You also have to develop your team. Capability building is part of the project controls manager. So to take care of the team, develop them to the future project control managers. Okay, what are the gaps? You have to see where the strengths and weaknesses of your team. That is also a area of capability development, providing them training and all that. So when I'm talking about project control manager, it's not only related to a contractor side. So you are a EPC company working in a EPC company, and you are project controls manager. You have a team and projects. It also applies to when you are on the owner side or consultant side like that, because you also are responsible for outcome and also responsible for governance. So it is applicable both sides. Maybe there is some changes, some procedures and processes are different, but overall the the roles and responsibility and accountability remains the same. Okay, now let's go to outcome orientation. The objective of the project is to deliver, right? That's what we all know. The objective of the project is deliver within budget, within time, the quality and the scope. Okay, let's take an example. Say a project is 30 months. Okay, budget is $100 million, and scope, quality, and throughput as per the project specification. You have to deliver the scope of the work, quality, and throughput. Throughput in the sense like if you're building a plant which gives 1,000 tons per day, okay, 100 tons per day or 1,000 tons per day. So what is the project specification? It has to give 1,000 tons per day of that product in that particular specification. Okay, there should not be rejection. The quality of the product should be accordingly. So this is the requirement of the project. Timeline is given, the budget is given, and the product outcome. So what exactly is the specification of that? Now let's say the project is completed in 30 months. okay, within budget, within the timeline, within budget also 100 million. But the throughput, which is like, the output of the product of the project, it is lower. So suppose you are supposed to produce 1500 tons of whatever material product. Now it is giving 10% less due to whatever reason. Design, it is below the design capacity. Whatever was designed, it is not providing as per that. What, for whatever reason, that has to be checked. But you did the project within 30 months. So the quality of the equipment and all the execution was perfect. Okay. And budget was also fine. So will you call this project as successful? As a project controls professional, do you think this project was successful, where you met all the requirements, but the throughput was not as per the expectations? Now we come to this very important point, that is the assumptions. So what are the assumptions considered? So whatever output, okay, for example, in this case, the design capacity was 1500 tons per day. Now it is not giving 15 tons per day. So what were the assumptions? What did you assume? What was your, design process? What was your raw materials? What was your calculation base? What were the assumptions while estimating the project cost, timeline, and specification? Not only the specification of the project, also the cost. The planning engineer, right? He prepares the project schedule basis. So when you make the schedule, the timeline, and when we make the timeline, the schedule which gives you the critical path, and you arrive at okay, when different milestones and execution and completion. Now for that there is a basis, right? Project schedule basis. He will produce what is the calendar been taken, what is the productivity been taken, what is the weather, which is the location, what is the logistics, how much time for a review cycle, for engineering, material testing, inspection, delivery. All those things we will have a basis, on which basis the planning engineer prepares the yeah. Now, and also the cost engineer develops the estimates and cost plans. Okay, he's preparing the estimates. The project manager prepares the execution plan, how the project will be executed. All these are based on assumptions, right? Assumptions such as okay, so project control manager's job is to basically review this basis, estimate basis, project execution plan basis, and validate the assumptions. Let me give an example. Assumption could be the project will be executed in EPC mode by the original equipment manufacturer with critical construction activities. Okay. Uh, with critical construction activities dependent on local contractor capability. So this is your assumption that the EPC project will be done by the OEM, and the construction activity will be done by the local contractor. So now this is the assumption, but this assumption, on this basis of assumption, you made a schedule, made the cost, everything. Now, as a project control manager, look at it and check whether this is possible. What are the assumptions taken? What is the realities of these assumptions? If you're saying that the OEM is going to execute, which OEM is it? Is it a specialist OEM uh, who has experience in executing EPC mode, or they are just a specialist equipment manufacturer who dependent on the contractor? So if he's dependent on the local contractor, and the local contractor's capability is not up to the mark, then we are in trouble, right? So the local contractor may think that it's a very big brand, they are very popular, and they are specialists in their particular equipment, but they are specialists in the equipment, but what about execution? So they might think that because it's a huge branded OEM, the project will go well, and the OEM will think, okay, I don't know much about execution in the local area. That's why I have taken partners as local contractors. They will execute. So each one thinks that other one takes care of this gap, and ultimately the project suffers. So, as a project control manager, we should know, okay, if you have taken local contractor capability, have you evaluated what type of local contractor? If the local contractor selected is not able to provide that, how do we ensure that? So these are all risks which you have to capture, and this has to be discussed. Okay, so if you are believing that local contractor capability will be taken, then you have to choose the good contractors, not the contractor which create problem to your project. So this is important. So these are another example I'll give you is uh, critical free issue. Many projects, free issue materials is supplied by the client. Okay, they give the equipment supplies. I mean, some of the supply material is supplied by but then they say that okay, this equipment will be provided on particular dates. and construction. When your construction sequence is there, we will provide on these dates. Okay, the first lot, second lot, whatever. Now, and we put into our schedule. Okay, these are the dates client is given, and we plug it into that, and we go ahead. But have we checked those? Who is the supplier of the client? Okay. Oh, what are the dates they have agreed between them? The client must have given some dates and given some other date to us. How do we ensure that the dates discussed between them is the same as given to us? How do we ensure that the vendor who is supplying this material is following through, not delayed? How do we know that? So how do we check that? Is there a mechanism to get from the client? And how do you ensure? Because our construction is dependent on their material. If the material delays, we will not be able to execute. So as a project control manager, we cannot just put in a date, that by this date, if the project doesn't come, the activity, the item doesn't come, the project will be delayed. So you write in the basis that provided this material will be delivered on so and so date, agreed. What if it does not happen? You will just report escalate, but escalate and create issue discussion. But as of now, when you're looking at the assumption, when you look at the discussions and the input which is given, you will challenge this. You will ask this question: how do we ensure it? Do we have a contact? Do we have a system of checking whether the vendor is reliable of the client and he will not delay, and all these things are taken care? So these are the assumptions which we need to check as a project control manager, because you are also accountable to outcomes. So it's not about only telling the management, you have to be accountable. There is your level where it changes from just reporting, okay, the supplier or the free issue material is delayed, so please follow up with client. What did you do about it in the beginning when you knew that material will be supplied from the others? Then conduct meeting, discussion, workshop with the project team. So we need to have these meetings not only for delays which are happening, but to validate these assumptions. So when the assumptions are given, you validate with them, challenge them, discuss with them. How do we ensure it? Okay, we don't want any local contractor to mess up the project. We don't want the OEM to have interface issues. Who will take care of these interface issues? I'll have to jump into the site and take care of this one. So let's have this discussion and clarity on all these things. So these are the areas which proactively project control manager should look at it. So this way you will be contributing in the project outcomes and not just tracking and reporting this one. Okay, in one example, when one EPC company, there was work was executed in full swing. Okay, but work was executed, physical progress was there, but payments were not there. Corresponding progressive payments were not happening because the documentation for the work completed or milestone completion was incomplete, and it was in no man's land. So the people responsible for the raising the invoice, they were waiting for the documentation. The people who are supposed to create the documentation, they are not accountable or responsible or answerable for the invoicing. Okay, they are just supposed to provide the documentation. So this was happening. So somebody is responsible for documentation, somebody is responsible for invoicing. The guy who is responsible for invoicing is not responsible for documentation. So this gap which is there, it has to be closed. So if invoicing is way behind the physical progress, the cash flow gets impacted, right? And project loses. So we don't want to get into the situation where we put in the report, documentation not available, invoice not raised. So that is not going to solve our problem. We have to be outcome oriented. Then only we can. Of course, this is project managers' problem. Project managers are responsible for this outcome orientation, but you are also responsible for ensuring that alignment is there. What documents need? Sometimes the project manager may be so busy or not aware what documentation may be required because the team are working on it. A system not established. Okay, whom to send a document, what documents are needed. Okay, checklist, a proper checklist for this particular milestone payment. What documents are required? Is it clear to all the people who are responsible for preparing the documentation? That has to be responsible, accountable by the project control manager. He has to ensure that system is established and working, so that the project control manager can deliver, execute, okay, the project. Are you interested only in achieving progress or also getting timely paid? So this is where your outcome orientation gets involved. So this is about outcome orientation. Let's talk about cross-functional integration. What do we mean by cross-functional integration? One project, one plan, one common set of priorities. You must have seen in project happens. that we have one project but different plans, different priorities, different interests. Okay, that should not happen. So in EPC project, the work is performed by different functions. Okay, different people are working, and each one has their objective, procedures, KRAs, outcomes. All these things are there. For example, procurement department usually has a KPI, right, of issuing timely POs. So they have a timely PO issuing KPI. But if the focus is to issue PO, matlab that they have to issue the PO on time, but it might be incomplete. The many terms and condition discussion may not be closed, and it will not close. Sometimes the purchase orders are not easy to order. They have to discuss, close all open points. But then to meet that KPI, they issue with saying that, okay, with conditions, later on we'll discuss, or something like that. So they meet their KPI, but later on, they have several rounds of discussion with the vendor to obtain their acceptance. So until the vendor accepts the PO, it is not a PO, right? It is just issued from your side. So they meet their KPI, but they are not helping the project. Project is getting delayed because vendor is not started, is not acknowledged the PO. So this is an example of cross-functional integration. So we have to ensure, like for example, what you do as a project control manager, you have to ensure that not issuing of PO, but acceptance from the vendor should be the KPI. This is where you have to enter into the area. Okay, in large EPC projects, there is we have an engineering planner, we have a construction planner, sometimes procurement planner, different planners sitting, and different, and then packages and subcontractors and many, joint ventures and all are there. So what do you do as a project control manager? You just take the reports from everyone, okay, and put them in a, sequence, and then send it to uh, as a report to the management. It won't help you because you have to align them. Okay, different things coming from there, and you just paste it there and send it will not help them. You have to align. So you have to think before. If I have 4 or 5 parties working, each one has a planning engineer, each one is construction, how do I integrate that one? Okay, that has to be done, and this has to be done before, not later on, where the reports are coming and you're not able to align, you're not able to tell management what is going on, how the dots are connected. So everybody is interested in their own department. The PCM role is to connect the dots. Okay, so what procurement, many times engineering tell from their point of view, this is what is happening. So we have done our job. Procurement telling we have done our job. Oh, it's not my problem, it's their problem, it's somebody else's problem. So project control manager becomes the integrator of project information. See, execution is project manager and the team, but the data has to be properly, aligned and managed and controlled, so that people get idea where to work on. Senior management will look at, okay, the reports one after the another, they are not able to make any sense out of it because there are no insights on that. You just collate it and send it to them. This is a hard work, but efforts are required for all such type of yeah. Another example, see, planning engineers track construction progress to quantities. Okay, quantities, we do quantities, cubic meters of concrete completed, progress, inch dia of piping fabricated, erected, tonnage of structural steel. So this is what we do, right, as planning engineers. But how do you know how the asset will be? Do you know how will the asset will be commissioned and brought into operation? So we want to not basically install steel and piping, and this is not our objective. Objective is to commission the plant, right, to bring everything together, integrate it and operate it so that the product is started. This is the reason why the plant is being made, not to complete, okay, we finished structure, we finished, yeah, not like that. So to understand that, okay, we need to know the process diagram, process flow diagram of the facility. So what are the raw materials, what are the inputs, and what are the outputs? So this process flow diagram need to be understood so that you can sequence the required for the commissioning. So how do you reach the commissioning needs to be understood by the planning engineer or project control engineer. So, and it is difficult to develop schedule without this knowledge. So, okay, you might do the quantities and all those things, divide into disciplines, but then you will not be able to reach the commissioning logic. Okay, that needs to be done. What about utilities? So there are utilities, power supply, water supply, fire protection, waste treatment, raw material supply system. So this needs to be integrated into that. Without this, you might have equipment installed, piping is erected, structure is completed, but facility cannot be started without having that. So you have to plan in commissioning and go backwards when you need those utilities and find a date and when the utilities will be ready, why, what is their sequencing, how they are connected, at what point in the project you need these utilities. Otherwise you will be completing your equipment and you are waiting for utilities, okay, because of whatever reason. So that has to be the cross functional integration. You have to integrate with the maybe the water supply is a different team working on it, fire system is different team, raw material is different team. So all those things, water, we need a lot of water in your process plants. So these are all different teams maybe, but you have to integrate as a whole, so that you can deliver the project as a objective. Governance. Now let's come back to the governance part. Okay, what is governance in the context of project control? So governance basically is managing we govern the government, like government you have, but in the context of a project controls, it is basically establishing and maintaining a structured control environment. So the environment is controlled, not out of hand, and that will define. So it's not only like, okay, let us have a project execution plan and go ahead. You should know how we will plan it, measure it, forecast, report. Not because just because forecasts are asked, we will not create a forecast. Just because reports are asked, we will not create it. But there has to be a governance mechanism. Who will prepare it? Who will review it? When it will be sent? What will be the content, what will be the structure, who will review it, what action happens after doing that activity. So that has to be understood, very, very clearly done. So do we have a project control procedure, or is a project control plan, or project control policy? Do we have a standardized WBS in our organization, or does the project manager run his project his own way? Each project manager comes and does it, and it's very difficult for you as a project controls to organize this, because every project manager is the CEO of his own project. So if this is happening, then you are having difficulties. Do you have scheduling guidelines, okay, or client requirement scheduling guidelines, progress measurement rules, change management processes, reporting structures, how the reporting will be done, whom it will go, what part it will go, when it will be going, how long you will wait for their inputs, okay, what are the approval mechanism when there are changes, okay, changes are happening, how the approval takes place, cost, if the material to be procured, manpower to be acquired, services to be, how the approval mechanism takes place. So integration between all of this, escalation frameworks. If there are escalation needed, whom will be escalated? Or sometimes in progress meeting, anybody raises up any topic. So it's not like that. We should have a way of escalating the things. So do you have a knowledge about the delegation of authority? The financial delegation of authority, which is there in most of the companies. The note for approval process, how the approval workflow takes place, financial approval. Do you know that? Without having that, you cannot structure a governance system. We said already, a structured control environment. We cannot just have a control environment only for schedule or only for report. We need to have this one also. We have to integrate with that. If there might be systems already in place, but you have to see and understand how we integrate. Where are the gaps? If there are gaps, you have to talk to the people and plug those gaps. If there is a governance process broken, you have to work it. So effective governance creates visibility, consistency, accountability, informed decision making, and all those things. So that is what governance is all about. There's something. So there is a governance framework could be required. So we'll discuss this later. I will present to you one framework which works well for a real project controls managers roles and responsibilities. We will discuss about that. Going further, in another company, UPC company, I used to prepare some years back, prepare and circulate daily progress report, weekly progress report, and MPR and management reports. So the project manager and his team used to scribble on that report itself. I'm talking about governance mechanism, how it was failing. This to scribble on that report itself and say that on it, and they used to send it back to me, saying that the delay is due to procurement. They delayed it. They did not do on time or something like that. It's not my fault. Payment to the vendor is delayed because finance fault. So the project manager himself is to write on that. He is to look at the report and see the areas of concerns and whatever issues, delays. He will write on them and bring it back to me. So what does it solve? It's not It's not solving any governance system. There's no governance here, because his report is issued for certain action. And the action is not you write on the report and bring it back to the planner and say, this is my response. It won't work that way. So this is an example of failure of governance in the organization. So basically, what I'm trying to say is, you as a governance doesn't mean the project control manager becomes the project manager. There is a boundary issues. Okay, that they step into the role of other. There is clear boundaries between the project control manager and the PM or the PD. They own the delivery. The other guy owns the control environment. You have to provide a system for that. He owns the decision. All decisions to be taken by the project manager owns decision support. So bringing them, enabling them to take the decision with your data and inputs is your job. Okay, he owns the outcomes. We own visibility. If you don't give the visibility and forecasting, they will not be able to the own outcomes. They will always say like that. Okay, not my fault. Procurement was doing it. Not my fault. Finance did not pay it. My fault. So we have to bring that one. So that clarity has to be brought, and then only we can move ahead. The top management plays a very important part into that. Okay, and without their support, it becomes very difficult to implement governance into the system. We'll have this one, each project manager runs his own show, and it becomes very difficult. uh, okay, performance. This is one of the critical and important role of the project controls manager, that is performance insights. So management wants predictability. They don't want your report which says this problem, that problem. They want to know when intervention is required. When do you want me to step inside and do something about it? They are not saying, okay, give me a long report, and they want to know what risk may impact future outcomes. Okay. So PCM, his job is to convert project data and all those things into insights and help them to take a decision rather than producing reports and minutes of the meeting only. So do you send a 200-page report? I have seen companies I worked also where we send a 200-page report to everybody and expect them to go through the 200-page report and understand what is going on in the project. For one project, 200-page report. Do we send the reports to management and expect them to figure out what needs to be done? So we send a report and we expect them go through the report, study it, and you find out what is the problem, okay, and what you need to do. You figure out what needs to be done, and you take action. So we are just putting the reports to the management and expecting them to figure it out. Or do we send a report to a client? There many times happen. Many of us are working in projects where we send a report to client, but we don't include the issues attributable to the client's team. Suppose client's team is failing, they are not providing inputs, or there is some issue in their side. What do we write mostly? The client, this is client side, client to provide this input, client to provide this input. Like that, we said in one line. But do we know what exactly is happening? The client person, the project manager from the client who is reading the report, may also not know the details, what is going on. So if you write their client to provide the same, he will say, okay, my team has to provide. He will not know there's a issue. Many times we are not writing the problems from the client side. So we have to write the problems from the client side as well, that we could not go ahead because client's team had this issue. There is this thing which is not part of the contract or whatever. And then you can have a meeting on top of that. Just putting that client to provide is client's responsibility will not help. You have to clarify. Okay. So does your report provide predictability or report what has happened? So it just tells what happened. Most of the 90% of the report says what has happened. This happened, that happened. We did this, we did that. We couldn't do this, we couldn't do that. And then forecast is just from Primavera. You take a forecast, 2 weeks look ahead, and paste it there and send it. Do you send any predictability, or you just send that? So you have to give me the predictability. What will happen? Okay, this has happened in the past. Because of that, what will happen in the future? Without that, without those insight, that is why this AI and all those has come, and humans are there is a threat to humans that okay, AI will replace and all. That's because humans are expecting machines to do human jobs. So that is where we are having that gap. So if we don't, because the ones who are reading and taking a decision on your report are humans, so they should read something like a human. If you give them tables and Primavera charts, they will not be able. You should give them something which gives them predictability, control. Okay, so that okay, they can take a decision safely because the data is, makes them understand, and takes that action firmly in the future. Okay, leveraging AI. So what do we now? This is a very burning topic: leveraging AI. How AI can be used in project control. So okay, fine. They are talking about schedules can be prepared by AI and all those things. You just give a prompt and schedule will be provided. But as a project controls manager, okay, as I said, you are a leader, you are a strategic person. So at a strategic level, how do you leverage AI? I'm talking about that over here. So to to update the project schedule or to create a project schedule, okay, fine. The planning engineers may be using it for updating and faster ways of getting it done. Fine, that is okay. But as a project control manager, how do you use the AI for your level at a strategic level? So schedules created by AI will need better judgment. So if the AI is being used to make schedules, then you need a better judgment. The review has to be thorough because it is made by AI, not a human. This one. So you need a better judgment to understand. You cannot just push it further. Okay, AI made it and it will be correct. No, you have to be reviewing it properly. You have to identify patterns at a senior level. When you're talking about strategic level, you have to use AI to identify patterns. So it will give you a feedback on the patterns based on the data which you give it to us, and you use the patterns for finding out insights, what is going on and what can be done, what can go wrong. Rather than asking AI to prepare schedule for you or prepare report for you, ask them to review our reports, review a schedule, find weaknesses in them. I've written here. Upload your schedules into AI. Okay, you can upload a schedule, definitely checking your confidentiality issues and all that. And check weakness in logic. Ask the AI to check the weakness in the logic, okay? And assumptions. If you put assumptions, let AI tell you where the assumption. I'm not saying accept the assumptions what they are telling. Just find out. Maybe you are able to overlook. They'll give that AI will give you the logic weakness and tell you what is going on in that. What was missing? What was not going as per logic? It will tell you. Check weaknesses in your planning documents. When you prepare the project execution plan, project control plan, upload it if it is possible, or a draft or something, or or a portion of it, and ask the AI to check the weaknesses. What's not matching? What's the pattern which is not aligning? What is not consistent, that you can check in the AI, rather than asking it to prepare the project execution plan. It won't be able to know what you want. Okay, that is your execution plan. AI will not be able to give you the execution plan. It can give you a rough draft and you have to work on it. That will be more work anyway. uh, you may upload reports. If you are able to upload a lot of reports or progress registers or schedule, you will be able to identify patterns which will let you know, okay, there are certain trends, okay, in procurement. The way we are doing the job, the way we are doing bulk materials, the way we are doing civil work. If civil work has some weaknesses, there are certain patterns which may come out. Okay, I'll give you one example also here. uh, I uploaded a monthly progress report, which I had for a process facility, basically a fertilizer facility EPC project, and I asked it to provide insights on how the project is progressing. Okay, uh, how the project is progressing, what are the key risks, what interventions are required by decision makers, basically the project manager, project director, and all. Which areas or activities are critical? What corrective or preventive actions to be taken? Okay, these are the questions which I asked. Okay, these are the questions which I asked to AI, and I uploaded my report, and I was amazed with the output, because I'm not looking for it to uh, do my work. I'm looking so that it helps me with the insights. It helps me to look things which I will overlook. Right. So this has given me this output. So it has, first of all, organized the data. It has not just given a text, a one-page text or something. It is organized. It's a executive assessment. So overall status is saying yellow trending towards red. So it's yellow trending towards red. So this is like some KPI sort of thing. The biggest concern is not engineering or procurement. The concern is construction. The project is entering the phase where construction, productivity, utility, and all those things become dominant. Engineering is largely complete, can no longer recover lost schedule. So engineering is not an issue. Engineering is almost finished. When it drawing, it is giving some more details about the AFC drawings and all that. And about the procurement. Procurement is becoming a risk. Is only 2% behind. This should not be alarming. However, the delayed items are not ordinary materials. So it is highlighting to you that these are not ordinary materials. They are commissioning enabling systems rather than bulk materials. So this is giving you insight that materials are not just materials. They are different category materials. A single delay in this item can stop hundreds of downstream activities. So construction is the primary threat. So there is an issue in procurement. Construction is primary threat because It is behind the plan by 12%. Uh, Outside battery limit is significantly worse than inside battery limit. This is dangerous because power system and all what I was talking about, utilities are delayed. Without that, plant cannot be commissioned, even if the ISBL is mechanically complete. So this is what it is saying. And the critical path, it is giving me a critical path also, that GTG is the gas turbine generator and all this thing. This will be a critical path. It might not be 100% correct. Of course, you have to have review on this. And then the top five critical risks. So the GTG, gas turbine generator delivery, electrical power on, water package delays. It has given the top five risks on which you have to focus. Okay, if you have a lot of reports and many projects, it can help you to cut down your time of review, right? Then likely questions of project director in the next review meeting. What project director may ask to you about the project. So why the construction is behind? What is the exact recovery plan for GTG? Uh, can power on be achieved without full reliable availability? What is the float remaining on utility systems? Which 20 activities currently drive mechanical completions? What is the latest forecast completion date if GTC this one? Are RO and ZLD packages, the zero discharge liquid discharge packages are on critical path. Though these are the questions he might ask, because this is what a senior and experienced project director will be concerned about. So it is giving an how to prepare also for the meeting. So use this because it's your insights. So you are preparing for the meeting, and you getting the answers, because many times what happens, we sit in a meeting and they ask the questions which are actually important, but we are with a different data, and that is not important for them. So this is helping us use this in this way. And it is giving a conclusion also. See, the project is not in crisis, but it is entering a high risk period where utility system and late vendor packages could determine the final completion date. So it's telling you where to focus. Okay. So this way you can use it. I have done this and I was really pleased with the outcome. Of course, I will not take it just because it is prepared by AI. I will be going through it, and I have experience. I worked on similar projects, so I know what it is talking about. So use this in this way rather than asking it to make schedule or update the progress. That can be done, but that is tactical activities. To grow to the next level, this is one example what you can do. Now the framework. Now we are talking about, we talked about certain activities like outcome orientation, which is very important for project control managers. We discuss why. Cross-functional integration is important because integration, he brings together all of them, the functions. Governance, how the governance involvement is there and how he has to establish the system with the control environment. Performance insight, we just saw how performance insights can be very crucial for decision support, and it can make or break your project. Capability development, basically we are talking about the development of the team. So how do you train them and all? So basically focus on their gaps and all that. That's a different sort of you can say skill where you have to work on your team members. So I will also do a session again on that detail, because that capability development becomes a little different, and you have to focus on a different areas, and you have to be more of human oriented. But coming back to this, the top four requirements of a project controls manager, we have a framework. There is existing framework. We don't have to start from somewhere, because without a framework, how do you reach the level of a real project control manager? You cannot just say, okay, on what basis? I need some framework or some method to go about. So a structured system or an established method to go about. The answer lies in the AACE, Association for the Advancement in Cost Engineering, AACE International's TCM framework, Total Cost Management Framework. Many of you might be already aware about it. You must be the popular certification of them, CCP, Certified Cost Professional, is given by AACE only. But they have something called a TCM framework. And this TCM framework is basically talking about a complete life cycle. And this is covering all your 5 areas of project control, which I was talking about, those 5 areas on which they have to develop their competency. Let me go further. So total cost management is a systematic approach to managing costs throughout the life cycle of any. It's not only a project, it's enterprise. program, a facility, a project, product, or service. So anything can be applied is basically applying cost management and cost engineering principles, decision making for the throughout the life cycle of the project, so that decisions can be done and you get the desired outcome of the project. So in this framework, the TCM framework spans idea. So it starts from an idea. So you have a your facility, your company, and you have different ideas which which are collected from the from the people for improving the productivity or improving the reliability or increasing the efficiency or productivity or increase expanding the facility, adding more products, changing the features. So different ideas come up. So this is the idea which starts. Then the idea is converted into a business case. Okay, they review the returns on it, whether it is viable, whether it is having business benefits. Okay, how much it will cost, and what will be the whether it is fitting into the strategic objective of the company or not, whether it is in the business plan it can fit or not. So that business case preparing and evaluating is part of TCM framework. Then an investment decision. So after the business case is prepared, the business case is used to take a decision whether we invest into this idea or this initiative or a project or not. Uh, then the project execution, based on the investment decision, the project is created and the project is executed. The output of the project is basically the comes into the company's strategic requirement. Okay, so you have an idea, you create a business case, you get the investment decision, funding, and you execute a project. The output of the project is which benefits the organization. That is basically going towards the operations. So you use it in operations, your manufacturing and all that. And from the operations, you as I mean the product is used for many years, 30, 40 years of life cycle, and then the asset is retired. So this is the total cost management framework which takes place from the idea to the asset in retirement. See, it covers everything, your outcome. So you know why your assumptions. So as when you talk about assumptions, invest this decision. So when you are executing the project, you are going at this fourth stage. You know what were the assumptions. So the assumptions were taken in the business case, investment decision, and you have landed into the execution. Without those assumptions, we would not have ended into the execution. Now the integration. So you can see the integration from the idea, from the strategy, you are bringing it to the execution level, and from the execution level, you are going to the operations, and from the operation benefiting the project. So it's integrating the complete cycle of the company. It also has governance. So everything has a governance system. How the business case is made, the investment decision is made. It's not random. It is done through economic analysis and a governance system. And then your performance insight. So every point there is a performance assessment. How the idea is performing. There are many ideas which come. Which ideas are worthwhile to go further? Which business cases are better for the investment decision? When they do an investment decision, it's not only about one project. There are so many options, and they will choose from the options. So they will depend based on the insights, what is happening on the performance of each one of them. Then it also covers, so this framework is basically about project control supporting the entire life cycle of the asset. So when you talk about an asset or a facility or a plant, so starting from the plant is created, idea, and then the feasibility is being done, and the business case, investment, and the execution, and then the operations of the particular asset, and then when the operations, when the project is complete, I mean when the plant is finishes its lifetime, it is retired or whatever it. So that complete life cycle project control supports for decision making using the uh, engineering principles, planning principles, cost principles, and all those risk management principles throughout the entire life cycles of the asset. So we start with the strategic asset management. So asset management is overall where the complete organization has different assets. It can be a building asset, it can be a factory asset, it can be a software or anything. What they have are a strategic asset which the company takes care. And then it goes into project planning. So each assets are need some project to execute. Like suppose there is a building and that building needs certain upgradation. So for upgradation, we need a project. So that project will basically help us to upgrade that particular asset. And when we upgrade that asset, it has benefits. So the project is used to upgrade that asset, and that benefits is used by the particular asset. So projects are a tool for increasing the value of a asset, or modifying it, or implementing it. Suppose you don't have that asset, you create that asset using a project. Then project control is the one which works throughout, as I said, throughout the asset life cycle to till the end, within the project also, and beyond the project also, before the project is exists and after the project is completed. So it goes into operations, and then and finally goes into the operation. So starts from asset management to the operation. So this is how, when you are learning from the asset management, how it connects to the planning and the project control and the operations, will be able to understand all the 5 areas. And this is the process map. I just there's a book called TCM framework. There's a framework book which is available on their website, and I think if you become a member, you get it for as a complimentary. I would like you to go to their website and explore about this TCM framework. It is a really good thing. This is about that. So it is a strategic. So strategy asset is basically you need to plan that asset, and then implement a project within that. Like I said, a building, then performance measurement and performance assessment. And within the implementation, you have this project control, project planning, project control plan implementation, performance assessment. So it is nested within this. So you have an asset. You can also look about it. This is more closer to the project controls profession and cost engineering professions. So this is the TCM framework. This is the framework which will help you. So you don't have to just one day get up and say, okay, I'm a project control manager. Let me do outcome orientation. Let me do governance. Let me do this. No, this this is established in 1956. So this is an established system, a framework, approach, which is there. It will help me to raise my standard of project control manager. And then you can see the difference in your outcome, your value, your compensation, the skills you will improve, the growth you will achieve, and the next level you can achieve.